This is Mount Stuart. It stands at 9,500 feet above sea level on the east side of the Cascades. It is Washington's 9th highest peak and the 2nd highest non-volcanic one. See that novice on the top of the summit? Yeah, that's me. And you might wonder how I got there. So let's start from the beginning. Alright, morning. So, we began at maybe like 3 a.m. Got here at 5, right before sunrise, and took a little break because we definitely didn't sleep concerning driving the hike to base camp. So I set up my camp right there. Had some breakfast last night, or this morning, by the water here, and John has his tent down there. So we're going to get packed up here, hydrate, and start heading for the summit, which is tree line. So, yeah, high. So pretty stoked, pretty nervous. It's not too hot here in the sun, but once we get moving, I'm sure I'll start to overheat a bit. That's one thing to consider. Currently, it is September. There is no snow on the mountain, and it is pure granite. This little stream I'll be crossing will soon be the last water source I'll see for a long time. So fair warning, carry as much water as you'll need. In my large bag here, I'm carrying enough for roughly 2, but just barely. This journey is 11 to 12 mile length expedition, with a total elevation gain of 8,000 feet. But don't take it lightly, because the majority of the gain is all compacted in 2 to 3 miles. Alright, so we're here at the boulder fields. Gonna start ascending. Gotta go up here, up on top of that ridge, and then start bouldering to the left of there. We came from that ridge line over there and then down some, camps down below. So during the entire climb, there's really not much of a trail. As you can see here, it is pretty steep, and besides the granite rock, there really is no outline trail. So there was a nice volunteer who did mark several of the areas with a pink flagger, but if anyone decides to take on this challenge or expedition, having a map or some sort of GPS log of the existing trail will help out tremendously. Additional advice would be planning. It's about high noon and we're nowhere near the summit. Hours pass due to a very slow approach, and some people will do this in a day. They're a completely different type of breed. My advice would be to start on a Friday evening, get over to Logan's Pass, and arrive at the creek at the base of the mountain around midnight. It's worth the extra push to keep going while it's dark out, so water consumption can be kept minimal for later in the day. At around the half mark, throwing up a bivvy and camping halfway on the mountain will set you up for better success. This makes the remaining extraneous push more doable, and you'll be more rested. Fast forward several hours, and we're still not close to the summit, and the climb drastically gets steeper. I could guess it's about 5 to 6 p.m., and other climbers have already decided to camp at the false summit. We continue onward to maybe catch sunset. It's all a guess at this point. We get to the section of loose rock. This is not the recommended route. One slip could result in injury. See that rock there? Yeah, that could be me tumbling down the mountain. Scared me. So we get around the false summit, and we come to this point where we're not really sure where to go. Luckily, there's a pink marker that the previous climber marked as to where the ideal route should be. To my left, you could clearly see that it's a cliff, and really the only option is to go through this tight squeeze. See that pink marker there? Yeah, that's the only thing that saved my life. That's cool. So it's getting later in the day, and the sun's about to set in maybe 1 or 2 hours. This is a little bit concerning, but it doesn't really deter me from continuing on with our journey. It quickly becomes to class 3 bouldering as it gets steeper and steeper as we approach the summit. I'm going to get a little into the story as to the issue with going down in the dark. Purely is when it's dark out, you can't see the trail. You're completely blind. It was a new moon. No moon or any sort of light source besides your headlamp was the thing you're relying on to route you down the mountain. Another additional note is I would highly recommend a battery charger, especially for your phone if you're using some sort of GPS on that phone. There was no maps that we had, so it's all based on memory, and if we can find some pink marker hidden in a rock crevice, and that's all we had. So panic started to settle in when we lost the trail, and we were absolutely exhausted. We did take shelter in a cave, and as it got to maybe midnight, it got really cold at around 8,000 feet elevation. Clearly, you can see that I am not dressed for any cold climate. So I sucked it up and I said, let's go. Let's continue downward. Hopefully we can get to base camp by 3 a.m. So as we're going down, it probably took 5 to 6 hours simply because we were having such a hard time finding the trail down. For any future climbers, I highly recommend having a reliable map or having someone who's done this trail before. There was another time where we also were off trail, as something that looked like a trail was really just either a different climbing route with a higher technicality, because we were met with a waterfall, but there was no water. It was a cliff, and it put us off maybe a mile from our proper descent trail. So we actually had to go up another 1,000 feet or so, backtrack just to find the original trail, and then continue back to base camp at the base of the mountain. I don't know what time we got back, but the only thing I can guess was maybe 5 a.m., 4 a.m., somewhere in that time frame. But must I tell you, that was the most relieving thing that we survived getting off that mountain. Yeah, you'll see here as the rock fixtures get tighter and tighter, there's a mark on my camera, which came to be a pretty costly expense for this expedition. But regardless, I'm going to leave it here. I'll let you enjoy the rest of the climb because I'm about to hit summit.
Take off the foo-foo, take off the cloud chase, take off the Wi-Fi, take off the money phone, take off the car loan, take off the flex and the white loss, take off the weird ass jewelry, I'ma take his steps, then I'm taking off top 5, take off the fabricated streams and the microwave memes, it's a real world outside, take off your idols, take off the runway, take off the Cairo, take off the Sandro, pay 5 days stay, take up for the meal, hella follow, take off the fuck flag, take off perception, take off the cop with the iPad, take off the huddle, take off the unsure, take off the solutions I like, take off the fake deep, take off the fake woke, take off the I'm broke, I care, take off the gossip, take off the new logic, then the phone look chamber, take off the short note, take off the doje, take off the broken bags, take all the designer bullshit off and what do you have?
You ugly as fuck. You out of pocket. 2 ATMs, you stepping to what? You out of pocket. Who you think they talk about? Talk about us. Who you think they carry up for us? The word in the panic, the women is stranded, the men on the run. The profits abandoned, the law take advantage. The market is crashing, the industry won. Niggas and bitches to sleep in the box while they making a mockery following us. This ain't monopoly, watching for luck. This ain't monogamy, y'all getting fucked. Jumping on what the hell is that? I gotta relax when I feel. All my descendants, they come in my sleep and say I am too real. I'm done with the sensitive, taking it personal. Done with the black and the white, the wrong and the right. You hoping for change, you current. Go land on the feelings they came with burial pride.
Officially teabagger, John. You don't like it? This is fucking awesome. It's the hardest thing we've ever done. What? See everything around me. Little rock climb. There is the rock climb.
Can I fit on my track? Looks like I found them fools I can scrape on my feet. Cameras moving with how moving the family suing whatever I make. Murder is stacking the piece of the action. The government taxing my funds in the bank. Homies are chasing the